The Forsaken One. The acid rain of Helios 9 burned through everything it touched. Most colonists had the sense to seek shelter when the warning sirens blared, but Lyra had nowhere to go. Her violet skin, already marred with bruises and chemical burns, sizzled as droplets found their exposed patches. She huddled deeper under the corroded shipping container that had been her home for the past 3 cycles. Hunger gnawed at her insides. The Novolith physiology wasn't designed for prolonged fasting. Her people evolved as constant foragers on their lush homeworld of Elysium, their metabolisms requiring regular sustenance to maintain their bioluminescent systems. But here, on this God's forsaken mining colony, her once brilliant skin patterns had dimmed to a dull flicker. She was dying, and she knew it. Only 6 months ago, she had been third navigator aboard the Celestial Voyager, one of the greatest exploration vessels in the Novolith fleet. Their mission had been peaceful, charting the unexplored systems beyond the Vortex Nebula. Then came the Meridian Corporation warships. No warnings, no demands, just overwhelming firepower that shattered their shields like glass. The captain had ordered emergency evacuation, but only a handful of pods had launched before the ship broke apart. Lyra's pod, damaged in the escape, had crash-landed on Helios 9, a human mining colony on the edge of disputed space. The impact killed the other 2 occupants instantly. Lyra alone survived, crawling from the wreckage with 3 broken limbs and a fractured cranial ridge. For weeks, she'd hidden in the outskirts of the mining settlement, scavenging from waste disposal units and stealing water from cooling systems. The humans here were a hard breed, colonists, miners, and mercenaries with little love for non-terrestrial species. Rumors circulated that Meridian Corporation paid handsomely for Novolith specimens, dead or alive. Her people's natural bioluminescence and telepathic abilities made them valuable research subjects. The rain finally subsided, and hunger forced Lyra to venture out. Her once elegant frame had withered, 4 of her 6 limbs now painfully thin. Her translucent membrane wings, once capable of short gliding flights in her homeworld's lighter gravity, hung in tattered shreds against her back. She moved like a shadow through the narrow alleys between prefabricated structures, her large, multifaceted eyes scanning for threats. The processing plant's waste containers sometimes held discarded protein packs, expired but still edible for her desperate metabolism. Tonight, however, she found them emptied and sterilized. Security measures had tightened recently. Someone had reported seeing an insectoid alien near the residential sector. Desperate, Lyra ventured closer to the colony's center than she'd dared before. The central marketplace operated around the clock, catering to miners on various shifts. The smells of cooked food sent painful spasms through her digestive system. She waited in shadows, watching for an opportunity. A vendor turned away to argue with a customer, leaving a tray of synthetic protein wraps momentarily unattended. Lyra darted forward, her weakened limbs struggling to maintain speed. She snatched 2 wraps and turned to flee, only to collide with a solid human chest. Strong hands grasped her upper limbs, steadying rather than restraining. "Whoa there," said a deep voice. Terror surged through Lyra. Her translator implant, damaged in the crash, struggled to process the human's words. She dropped the food and chittered in panic, her vestigial wings fluttering uselessly. "Easy now," the human said, releasing her. He was tall, even for his species, with dark skin and observant eyes beneath a shock of curly gray hair. "Keep the food. You need it more than he does." The marketplace had gone silent, all eyes turning toward them. The vendor noticed the theft and shouted angrily. The human reached into his pocket, extracted a payment chip, and tossed it to the vendor without looking. "I've got this. Double whatever she took." Lyra's translator finally caught up. Against all survival instincts, she remained frozen in place, clutching the stolen food. "I'm Marcus Hayes," the human said quietly. "Engineering Corps. You're a long way from home, aren't you?" Lyra's mandibles clicked nervously. "Why, help?" she managed through her damaged translator. Marcus glanced around at the gathering crowd, some curiously hostile. Not here. Eat that and follow me if you want. Or run. Your choice. He turned and walked away, not looking back. Lyra hesitated only a moment before devouring one protein wrap in 3 desperate bites. The nutrients hit her system like an electric shock, temporarily brightening her diminished bioluminescence. She tucked the second wrap into her tattered garment and followed the human at a cautious distance. Marcus led her through the settlement to the engineering sector, nodding to security personnel who barely glanced at them. His credentials granted him access to restricted areas, and soon they entered a small maintenance workshop cluttered with tools and half-assembled machinery. You can stay here tonight, he said, securing the door. Nobody comes in here without my authorization. Lyra maintained distance, her antennae twitching nervously. Why help Novalith? Humans hunt us. Marcus busied himself with a water purifier, filling a container. Corporations hunt you. Mercenaries hunt you. I'm just an engineer who doesn't like seeing sentient beings starve. He offered her the water. I was on Proxima Station when your ambassador visited 3 years ago. Beautiful speech about cosmic harmony. Made an impression. Lyra accepted the water cautiously. Ambassador Tilaven. My clutch mother. Marcus's eyebrows rose. You're her daughter. Damn. Politics really is the same across species. He gestured to her damaged wings and limbs. You need medical attention. No doctors, Lyra chittered anxiously. They report to Meridian. Not all of us work for corporations, Marcus said. He retrieved a medical scanner from a workbench drawer. I was a field medic before I became an engineer. May I? After a long hesitation, Lyra nodded. The scanner hummed as it passed over her battered form. Severe malnutrition, multiple improperly healed fractures, chemical burns. Marcus listed quietly. You've been through hell. Crash landed. 3 cycles ago. Others died. Marcus set down the scanner. There's a Meridian survey team arriving tomorrow. They're sweeping the colony he paused. For evidence of Novalith presence. Apparently, you've been spotted several times. Fear pulsed through Lyra's weakened body. They will dissect me. Study telepathic nodes. Not if I can help it, Marcus said, surprising himself with the conviction in his voice. There's a supply ship leaving for the outer colonies tomorrow night. The captain owes me a favor. Why risk for stranger? For enemy. Lyra's translator struggled with the complex emotions behind her question. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, staring at the floor. Finally, he looked up at her with eyes that had seen too much. 20 years ago, I was part of a terraforming mission on Gliese 667. We didn't realize the planet had indigenous sentient life until it was too late. The company covered it up. Called it acceptable collateral damage. Thousands dead because we didn't bother to look closer. He stood and walked to a storage locker, retrieving nutrient supplements compatible with her physiology according to the scanner. I can't undo that. But I can do better now. Lyra's antennae quivered as she absorbed his words. Among her people, deep remorse was a sacred emotion, worthy of respect. Perhaps humans weren't so different after all. Rest now, Marcus said, arranging some clean thermal blankets in a corner. Tomorrow we figure out how to get you off this rock before Meridian turns it upside down looking for you. As exhaustion overtook her, Lyra's thoughts drifted to her lost ship, her dead companions, and the strange twist of fate that had placed her life in the hands of this unexpected human ally. For the first time since the crash, a faint hope flickered within her, as dim but persistent as the bioluminescence slowly returning to her damaged skin. Unexpected salvation. The morning klaxon startled Lyra from her deepest sleep in months. Her bioluminescent patterns briefly flashed with alarm before she remembered where she was. Marcus's workshop had become an unexpected sanctuary, the stack of thermal blankets more comfort than she'd known since the crash. Marcus entered carrying a sealed container. "You're glowing brighter today," he observed. "The supplements must be helping." Indeed, Lyra's violet skin now pulsed with subtle patterns that had been dormant for weeks. She extended her primary limbs in a stretch, noticing less pain in her joints. "Yes. Thank you. I've got news, not all good." Marcus set down the container and activated a small holoprojector. It displayed the colony's landing bay where a sleek, black ship was docking. Meridian's hunter team arrived early. "That's a Raptor-class retrieval vessel. Military grade." Lyra's antennae flattened against her head in primal fear. "How many?" "5 operatives, led by Director Harlow. He's ruthless." Marcus expanded the image, showing armored figures disembarking. They carried specialized containment equipment and scanner arrays tuned to detect novolith biosignatures. "They're setting up a systematic sweep of the colony. We've got maybe 12 hours before they reach this sector." "The supply ship, can we leave now?" Lyra asked. Marcus shook his head. "Captain Vega can't launch until the maintenance cycle completes at 2,300 hours. We have to hide you until then." He opened the container, revealing a modified environmental suit. "I reprogrammed this to mask your biosignature and provide nutrient support. It won't fool their scanners at close range, but it should prevent colony-wide detection." Lyra examined the suit with her 4-fingered hands. Human technology, adapted with surprising insight into novolith needs. "You understand my physiology well." "I may have accessed some restricted xenobiology files," Marcus admitted with a slight smile. "Let's just say Meridian's security protocols need updating." As Lyra donned the suit, Marcus continued detailing his plan. They would move through maintenance tunnels to an abandoned processing plant near the landing pad, where they'd wait for Captain Vega's signal. "You have broken many laws to help me," Lyra said, her translator carrying the weight of her gratitude. Marcus checked the environmental readings on her suit. "Some laws deserve breaking." A sudden pounding on the workshop door made them both freeze. "Hayes! Open up!" The voice belonged to colony security. Marcus gestured Lyra toward a maintenance hatch in the floor. "Get down there. Move to Junction 12B. I'll meet you." She hesitated. "If caught, I'll be fine." "Go." Lyra slipped through the hatch into the cramped utility tunnel below, pulling it closed just as Marcus opened the door. "Officer Diaz, what's the emergency?" she heard him ask with convincing casualness. "Meridian sweep team wants all engineering personnel for questioning. Something about unauthorized tech signatures in your sector last night." Their voices faded as they departed. Lyra navigated through the dimly lit tunnels, her enhanced vision easily piercing the darkness. The colony's underbelly was a maze of pipes, conduits, and forgotten maintenance passages, perfect for a fugitive. At Junction 12B, she waited. 1 hour passed, then 2. Anxiety built within her. Had Marcus been detained? Tortured? Her people's limited telepathic abilities functioned primarily within their own species, but stronger emotions sometimes bridged the gap with other sentients. She reached out, sensing nothing. Just as she prepared to move on alone, the access panel slid open. Marcus descended, face grim. "They've implemented full biometric scanning at all major junctions," he said. Diaz was suspicious, but I convinced him I'd been experimenting with Xenotech components. He handed her a small device. "Colony transmitter. Vega will signal when ready." They moved deeper into the colony's infrastructure, eventually emerging in the abandoned processing plant, a cavernous space filled with derelict machinery. Dust covered everything, undisturbed for years except for their footprints. "We wait here," Marcus said, establishing a small monitoring station from portable equipment. "Vega's ship is undergoing final checks." Hours passed in tense silence. Lyra studied the human who had risked everything for her. On my world, she finally said, there is a concept, telomora. It means, the binding of fates. When two beings become connected through profound action. Marcus looked up from his monitors. We have something similar. Some call it karma. Others, destiny. My people believe when lives intertwine in crisis, it echoes across cosmic patterns. Her translator struggled with the philosophical concept. Perhaps crash here was, meant. Maybe, Marcus said thoughtfully. Or maybe the universe is chaos, and what matters is the choices we make in response. The transmitter suddenly activated with 3 short pulses. That's Vega, Marcus said. Ship's ready. We need to. A colony-wide alarm blared, cutting him off. The monitors flashed red as security protocols activated. Perimeter breach in Sector 7, announced an automated voice. All personnel implement containment procedures. That's not about us, Marcus frowned, checking data feeds. Something else triggered, he stopped abruptly. Another crash. A Novolith escape pod just came down outside the colony. Lyra's entire body pulsed with sudden hope. My people? Survivors? Maybe. Marcus recalibrated his scanner. Life signs detected, 2 Novolith biosignatures. But Meridian's team is already en route. Decision crystallized in Lyra's mind. I cannot leave them. It's too dangerous. They are my people. Would you abandon yours? Marcus stared at her, then nodded slowly. We'll need a diversion. They moved quickly, formulating a desperate plan. Using Marcus's engineering access, they triggered a cascade failure in the colony's power distribution grid. As predicted, the resulting blackout diverted security forces and created confusion. Under cover of darkness, they stole an all-terrain vehicle from the maintenance bay. Marcus drove recklessly through the colony's outer gates, disabled by the power failure. They raced toward the crash coordinates, the vehicle bouncing over the rocky terrain of Helios 9. The escape pod was a twisted wreck, smaller than Lyra's had been. By some miracle, it hadn't ruptured completely. Marcus used cutting tools to open the damaged hatch while Lyra stood guard. Inside, they found 2 injured Novolith, a navigator and a science officer based on their markings. Both were unconscious but alive. Lyra chittered in her native language, an instinctive expression of relief. We need to move quickly, Marcus warned, helping transfer the injured aliens to their vehicle. Meridian will. The whine of approaching shuttles cut him off. Searchlights swept the crash site as 2 Meridian craft descended. Armed operatives deployed before the vehicles even touched down. Go, Marcus said suddenly, handing Lyra the transmitter. Take the vehicle. Head to coordinates 227.4. Vega will meet you there. What about you? Marcus checked his sidearm. I'll slow them down. No. Lyra's translator couldn't capture the depth of emotion in her refusal. Telomora. We go together. Before he could argue, the universe made its own decision. A blinding light engulfed them as a third ship descended, not Meridian design, but Novolith. A rescue vessel, tracking the pod's emergency beacon. The Meridian operatives opened fire immediately. The Novolith ship responded with precision defensive measures, neutralizing the attackers without casualties, showing the restraint that was central to their culture. In the chaos, Marcus and Lyra loaded the injured Novolith onto the rescue vessel. The ship's medical team swarmed around them, chittering in surprise at finding a third survivor, and a human ally. They're asking if you'll come with us, Lyra translated as the ship prepared for emergency departure. Colony alarms blared in the distance as reinforcements mobilized. Marcus looked back at the mining colony, his home for 5 years. Nothing waited for him there but suspicion and likely imprisonment for his actions. What would I do among your people? He asked. Lyra's patterns glowed with newfound strength. What you did here. Bridge worlds. Heal. Teach. Learn. Her translator struggled to convey the concept. Begin again. As Meridian forces converged on the crash site, Marcus made his choice. The Novolith vessel sealed its hatches and rose into the night sky, leaving Helios 9 and its harsh existence behind. In the ship's observation bay, Marcus watched the mining colony shrink to a mere point of light among many. Beside him, Lyra's bioluminescence pulsed in patterns he was only beginning to understand. "My mother spoke of cosmic harmony," she said quietly. "Between all sentient beings. Few believed it possible with humans." Marcus thought about the choices that had led him here, from the guilt of Gliese 667 to this moment of redemption. One act of compassion had altered not just Lyra's fate, but perhaps the future of two species. "Maybe we're not so different," he said, watching stars bloom across the viewport as the ship accelerated to light speed. "We all just need someone to see us at our worst and choose to help anyway." Lyra extended a now healing limb toward him, the gesture transcending the barriers of biology and culture. Marcus accepted it, sealing their unlikely bond as the ship carried them toward a future neither could have imagined, where abandonment and hunger had transformed, through one human's choice, into salvation and hope.